Okay, so now I've got the San Francisco 49ers draft reaction. I know the draft finished like 2 and a bit weeks ago, but I'm not done. So we got the Niners. I go through each pick, give my thoughts, and then, give a grade at the end. So the first pick, Trey Lance. They traded up for the quarterback of the future. I love it. I prefer it than Mac Jones. Personally, I think Justin Fields is a better player, though. But if they were picking between Mac Jones and Trey Lance like they were, well, that's where the reports were. Definitely Trey Lance is a better option, I think. He just got the massive upside. Of course, didn't play a lot and didn't have amazing competition in North Dakota State, but just has an amazing arm, can throw the ball so far. And I think he could be a really good player in Kyle Shanahan's offense also, kind of run that RPO, play action kind of system very well, and he can use his scrambling ability better than Jimmy Garoppolo. So I think I love the pick. Trey Lance, get their quarterback of the future. I love it. I didn't really like this pick that much though. Taking Aaron Banks, the massive freaking guard from Notre Dame who just can't move. Like, if he gets his hands on you, then you're done. But you can just run past him basically. He's just a big, fat, slow stooge. So he's a good run blocker. That's kind of it. In the passing game, he's kind of a liability. Like, one-on-one against most athletic defensive tackles, like, is just not good for him. But run game, it kind of fits their system also. They want to run the ball, so it does make sense in that type. And it'll probably start straight away. They're picking him in round 2. But it was just too early for Aaron Banks, I think. I definitely didn't see him going this far up. I think there was just better guards overall, or centers. Like, nah. And then they took Trey Sermon in the 3rd round. Probably a bit of a reach for a running back, but if you're just looking at the player, Trey Sermon, very good scheme fit for the Niners. Like, big, tough runner, good vision, patient. But 3rd round, I think it was a bit too early to draft him just because the value of the running back position. You could have got somebody later. But I do love the player in this. I think he will be really good for the 49ers. So I did like that. I definitely think he'll be good. I think he'll be better than like Mostert and everything. He'd be a good complement to Mostert. I just like the player overall, and it's a good scheme fit. So I do like the player, just not at the point that they took him. And then they went for Ambry Thomas, the cornerback from Michigan. He has a pretty decent pick. Some people really like Ambry Thomas. I don't mind him. He's pretty decent. Like, good press corner. It's good size also. Like, they do need cornerback quite a lot, the 49ers. So I do like it. I think they could have took somebody earlier instead of like that Aaron Banks or Trey Sermon pick, just value-wise. But I still think they got a good corner at this point in the draft of Ambry Thomas. Like, I thought he was a good player. In 3rd round, probably around his range that he would go in the draft. And they don't really got corners outside of Jason Verrett, who just kind of gets injured. He didn't last year, but you never know if Jason Verrett would be injured like his whole career. So they did really need to get more depth in that corner position. They could have got more corners, to be honest, though. And then it took Jalen Moore. He played tackle at Western Michigan. Pretty high upside player. They got him listed as guard here, which, yeah, probably what he could play. But he is, like, massive, so he can definitely play tackle. Was what he played also. He just seems more technically like a guard. And definitely flashes ability, but at Western Michigan, you're not playing amazing competition. But with some good development, I think he can turn into a decent tackle or guard in the league. And I mean, learning from, like, the players that they have there, I think that's very good. So I like it. And then they took Diamandre Lenoir, corner Oregon. I have no idea if I said that first name right. But I like the pick overall. Again, they needed more corners, so they just pick up Lenoir. Did they trade for this? It says from New Orleans, but I don't know. I don't know about that. Yeah, Lenoir, he probably, I would have thought that he would have gone in like the 6th, 7th round. But 5th round makes sense also. He's a pretty decent cornerback. And they just kind of needed cornerbacks on their roster, so overall it's pretty good. And then it took Talanoa Hufanga, box safety pretty much. People really like him. Like some people have him really high, like top 10 safety. He's definitely not a top 10 safety. He's primarily a box safety. People kind of compare it to like Troy Polamalu, but like nah, bro, just not as good as a coverage player overall. Just not amazing coverage, but he will be a good box safety. I think he will get playing time for their defense, so I like it. And then took Elijah Mitchell in the 6th round. A bit surprising, I guess, since they already drafted Trey Sermon. But I don't know about drafting another one when the 49ers kind of made good running backs out of like nobodies. Like Raheem Mostert, he wasn't really anybody before. Matt Breida, I think he was either like 7th round or undrafted. So I didn't know about drafting Elijah Mitchell unless they really liked him. I think they could have got a player in undrafted free agency who was pretty similar players and just kind of had that skill set like he does. Because kind of just a good pass catcher and good scat back kind of. So I like it for Elijah Mitchell, though. I like the player. Just maybe not drafting him, like especially in the 6th round with really good players available. I didn't think it was the best. The 49ers up and down draft, really. It seemed like just one pick I liked and then there was one I didn't, and then just back and forth. But of course, Trey Lance, that's a good pick. The next two I was a bit iffy about, and then Ambry Thomas I liked. Jalen Moore's not a horrible pick. Lenore and Hufanga, good for your secondary, and then Mitchell, a bit weird, I guess. But overall, probably a B minus. Just not that impressive besides Trey Lance and Ambry Thomas. I was kind of the only 2 picks I was like, yeah, that's a good pick. The rest were just kind of, yeah, whatever. Not really good value for the picks and kind of some reaches like Aaron Banks. So B minus, yeah, that's probably what I do for them. And that's kind of it. So B minus, and the next one I got will be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that's pretty elite, pretty elite.